The annual Munich Security Conference, the biggest international gathering of its kind, is underway. This year, it's taking place in the shadow of Brexit, Donald Trump's election to the White House, and the ongoing conflict in Syria. Also on people's minds is how member countries will contribute to NATO, following Trump's calls for them to spend more on the alliance.
President Trump came into office and has thrown now his full support to NATO. He, too, espouses NATO's need to adapt to today's strategic situation for it to remain credible, capable, and relevant. Further, as Minister von der Leyen noted last week, it is a fair demand that all who benefit from the best alliance in the world carry their proportionate share of the necessary costs to defend our freedoms.
The NATO target of spending 2% of GDP on defense requires persistence from us and from many other allies. The 28 heads of state and government at the 2014 Wales Summit agreed to achieve the 2% target within 10 years. We are still committed to this and already working towards this goal.
Simon McGregor-Wood is in Munich with more.
A lot of people here, particularly European allies, particularly NATO allies, are very concerned about the American commitment to the transatlantic security alliance, NATO, in other words. And I think James Mattis, the new Defence Secretary, his speech here was keenly awaited. People wanted to hear reassurances. They've been unsettled by some of the language that President Trump has used, particularly in reference to the future of NATO and to the future of the European Union. I think James Mattis delivered a short, blunt, to the point speech. There was short on detail, but he did reaffirm certain key aspects of American support for NATO. He will have gone, I think, some way to reassure some of those listening. At the centre of that was his reaffirmation of Article 5. He called it a bedrock commitment. Now, Article 5 is the part of the NATO deal whereby if one member gets attacked, all the other members leap to that country's defence. So a repeat of America's commitment to that will be reassuring. He said Donald Trump has great faith in the future of NATO, but understands it needs to adapt. It's a carrot and stick approach, if you will, one that he, General Mattis, displayed in Brussels, where there was a NATO Defence Secretary meeting. Yes, America is behind you. Yes, America sees great future in the NATO alliance, but you Europeans have to do more. And he again repeated that here in Munich on Friday, urging Europeans to spend more, to create more of a burden-sharing alliance. The Americans, of course, have always felt that they have done a lot more than their fair share. We heard earlier from the German Defence Minister, Ursula von der Leyen. I think she gave what the Americans were willing to hear. She understood that the Europeans need to do more. But there was some veiled criticism, I think, of the Americans in her speech. She said the NATO alliance is a combination of countries that come together, bound together by shared values. And I think there was a warning there to the Trump administration for them not to abandon some of those values. So lots more words, a lot of more addresses by American diplomats and security officials to come this weekend. I think the challenge for them is whether or not they can reassure and whether or not people here believe that they are speaking truly on behalf of their boss, President Trump, back in the White House.